telling with deep, but don't forget, stagnant water, agua estancada, is the primary source of breeding. So if you have a neighbor, if you know someone that doesn't clean that backyard, please go ahead, report them to your municipality. We have a 24 hours response, and if it's necessary, we will definitely ground frame if needed. The municipality has that decision. And last but not least, don't forget dusk and down. No vamos a andar muy temprano ni muy tarde afuera, and use light colors, long sleeves, long pants. So those are the 4 Ds. We have this information in English and Spanish. If you have one of those neighbors, don't forget to give them to them. Other adult services, as you all know, Dallas County takes care of our seniors. We have different programs, different centers with different activities for all of you. In conjunction with the City of Dallas, we fund some of these programs. And last but not least, talking about volunteers. If you want to volunteer in the Medical Reserve Corps, don't hesitate to call. Is the other pamphlet. We have some repellent for those of you that need some or know someone that needs some with us, with some additional information. Muchísimas gracias otra vez a todos ustedes y que seguimos adelante.
Any questions? Preguntas? ¿Tienen moyotes en la yarda? Any mosquitoes back there?
Yeah, we only have to
Ted Cruz is not hanging out somewhere in the parking lot?
Dr. Garcia?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think that there's, I can't imagine how much communication there is between yourself and perhaps County Judge Kay Jenkins and our governor. He is determined, of course, to send the National Guard to the border. I don't know if you have had any conversations with them about that issue. And of course, we've got to send the message that we as a community have not forgotten the killing of Ezekiel. The last time we sent the military to the border. Has that issue come up at all? Is that something that anybody's in dialogue with the governor about?
Well, as a matter of fact, as you probably know, Judge Jenkins, Mayor Rollins, and I met, with the president when he was here in Dallas around 3 weeks ago. And, one of the things that we discussed obviously was the need for comprehensive immigration reform, but the other one was about the need or additional research to the border. The reality is the border is secure, in my opinion. We have more deportations in the last 4 years than ever before. These are kids, okay? These are kids that give up themselves. The National Guard, in my opinion, great, body, but they can't do much. So we just need to take out the politics of this issue, in my opinion. Hope that answers your question. Yeah, we discussed it. Obviously, the governor was set on doing that. Yes.
Regarding the corrections you're trying to do, I'm concerned about El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala. And those 3 countries that our nation has had a finger in helping to overthrow democratically elected regimes. And I'm thinking of the school, what used to be called the School of the Americas at Fort Benning, Georgia. We've been fighting to close that for 2 decades now, and it's still operating. When you talk with the president or federal people, are you bringing up that issue? Because it is a big one that's causing the chaos in Central America.
Well, it was mentioned, Mr. Renton, and you're totally right. We did mention some of that. However, it was just mentioned as part of the talk. Mayor Rollins had some great ideas as well about things that we can do with these countries. But it was mentioned. Yeah. That's all I can say.
It's ongoing.
Yeah.
Hold your question for the mayor, okay? Let's give a big hand to my wife, Dr. Ella. All right. Our next speaker has been the mayor of Dallas for the last 4 years. He's had a lot of little victories regarding a lot of issues. National Conference of Mayors was just here recently, showcasing how Dallas has continued to prosper and grow. And to talk to us a little bit about what's going on with the city of Dallas, let's give a big hand to the mayor of Dallas, Big Key, Texas, Mike Rollins.
Thank you for feeding me. I appreciate it. It's always good to be here. We are, the office tries to work hard to make Dallas great. My partner here, Amanda Sanchez, works in my office, so if you need anything, make sure you grab Amanda. I just want to say thank you to Judge Jenkins again. He's right. You know, how things happen, we all do it. This notion of lead, follow, or get out of the way, okay? I was honored to follow you, Judge, in this, and I appreciate everything that you did. We all have our roles. And the other thing that we can't forget, and I think we don't say it enough, in Dallas, one of the things that I think makes us so strong is our women in this city. And we've got women that are over 100 that are doing marvelous things still today, and women that are 22. But one of the strongest women in Dallas, one of the strongest leaders in Dallas, one of the strongest Latinas in Dallas is Elba Garcia. You know? What she does for our city, to think carefully and thoughtfully about tough issues. But she leads us with such integrity, with such grace. You know, this is a person that sets a tone for what Dallas should be like, and it's just it's a real honor to sit on the stage with her and work with her on so many issues. You know, Judge was right. Dallas is undergoing some perceptual changes out there in the world. Perception comes after reality, though. I mean, you got to change the city. Things have got to take place, but it is in the last 20 years. I think we're changing. We're being seen, I think, as a very progressive city. We're being seen as a city that's on the forefront of issues. And we're proud Texans. I got my little Texan flag here. I love Texas, okay? But that doesn't mean we're exactly like everybody in Texas, okay? Texas is a very diverse state, okay, with a lot of different people doing different things, but we know what we're doing here in Dallas, and I'm proud of it. And I'm proud of the effort that we're making, and I think you're going to see more of that progressive thinking going forward. Not because it's our ideology. It's because where history is moving and where we have to go. One of the things that I think makes us unique, and people are sitting up and taking notice, and they did at the U.S. Conference of Mayors that you just spoke about, is people are amazed at what's happening in our city in the last 20 years. Just the buildings and the new growth and how clean we are and what's going on in different parts of town. Just the other day, a travel section in the New York Times called out Jefferson Boulevard as one of kind of the cool places in America, and people are starting to uncover and throw away the old JR image and starting to say there's some really interesting things, what's happening in our art world, in our music world, and culture. It's starting to be a city of real depth and breadth, and we want to attract young, smart people to Dallas. Now that leaves me and Domingo out, okay? But we're already here. Okay? We're already here. But we want to do that. 1,000 people a week are coming to the Dallas area. 1,000 people a week. We've got a lot of them coming to Dallas proper, to southern Dallas, and we want to make this continue to grow. We are a city of money. People are amazed about that. But I will tell you also, our biggest problem is we're a barbell city. We're a city of money, of the haves, and many of us are part of that haves. And then we're a city of the have-nots. 37% of our families are asset poor. A third of our children grow up in poverty. I think only Philadelphia and Detroit beat us in that, which is a sad place to be. And that's a big issue as we go forward. We don't have as strong a middle class as we need and want, and that's a strategic issue we have to face as a city. Now, what are we doing about it? I see kind of a very immediate issue, a near-term issue, and a long-term strategy. Immediate, near-term, long-term strategy. Immediately, we have to look poverty square in the eye and say, what can we do in the short term about it? We created a poverty task force that many people, Judge was on this, led by Larry James, and we were able to really kind of pull a lot of people together. Regina Montoya was the vice chair, Janelle Atkins was the vice chair, and 160 people came in, and they were going to be presenting that to City Hall here at the end of August. And they're going to come up with some I said, we're not trying to solve world peace or Israel and Palestine, okay? What can we do immediately to help with this issue? We're going to be dealing with issues like minimum wage. We're going to be dealing with issues like earned income tax credit, some things that can be done in the short term. I'm looking forward to that report and what we as a city start to do with that. Second is the near term, and that's why I'm a big believer in growing southern Dallas. See, what's happened, if you really just back up, as I'm starting to understand this, there is a kind of a line in this city, and it's not just the Trinity or race, it's an economic line. And there are a lot of people that are outside our economic systems. And they end up at a payday loan place, or they end up at something because they're keeping their money in their mattress and just hoping things get better. Meanwhile, capital is growing at rapid rates. In the last couple of years coming out of the recession, if you've got some capital and you're investing, whether it's a pension fund or whether it's your savings account, you're seeing real growth. Those assets are happening. But we got to get more people on the side in the economic world and not stay off to the side and just kind of hunker down. And that's why Grow South is important to me. Because the thought is there's a lot more money in the north part of Dallas that needs to come to the southern part of Dallas. You don't do it by protesting and yelling at people. You do it by saying we treat capital well in southern Dallas, okay? The return on your investment is better down here than it is in North Dallas, and the truth of the matter is it is now. People are starting to invest here, getting a better return on their capital, and so when that money starts to come, retail starts to happen, and things start to grow. And we're seeing that take place in North Oak Cliff. We're seeing it in the Cedars. We're seeing it in far South Dallas. We're seeing it in West Dallas. And that's why, and that's how we get people on this side of that line. Jefferson is key for me. I worked with Councilman Hasso before, and now working with Councilman Griggs to make sure we continue to drive that and make it a diverse, special part of our city, and not just kind of say it's just a few blocks away. We need to push that growth here. We need to get office buildings here again. We need to get home ownership. Single-family home ownership is critical to this city. And I'm seeing it start to turn in Dallas. In fact, I'm proud. My son, okay, just bought a house about 1.5 miles down right here in Jefferson and Brighton, okay? And he's learned home ownership about old wiring and old plumbing and what you have to do. But it's exciting that there's a real commitment there. And then the long term. My belief in the long term. The only way to make this work is education. Education is the great equalizer. Those individuals that get to college, that do well, are going to be in the economic world, and then we're going to get start to close this gap. The Adon Gonzalez's, my good friend, who's going to be a senior this year in Georgetown, went to Adamson. You know, his dad was a janitor at Love Field for years and years. Mom took care of homes. He's changing his life. I mean, he's just one story. I hear it time and time again because somehow they powered through our schools. And so I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to stay focused on our schools, right? I'm going to stay focused on those kids. Yesterday, to see 35,000 young men and women come through that come through the Fair Park building and get those school supplies. And I realized that right there is going to define what Dallas is going to be like in 15 years. Just a map, the amount of kids. And if we don't step it up and do something remarkable, we're going to be in the same old rut. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. Forbes just named New Orleans the Brain Trust City of the Year because of the remarkable change in their school system and what has happened, how they've moved from the old style of doing things to a new way of doing things. It can be done, and I'm a big believer at all levels we have to do it because it's ultimately about accountability. It's all about us looking forward and not back. It's about saying, what am I going to do as an individual to make this system better? I have to get off the topic for a second when I talk about accountability because I promised myself I'd never speak to a group of men again if I didn't say, men, you treat women with respect, okay? You treat women with respect. Never raise a hand to a woman. We must change the culture of misogyny that somehow we have just accepted. And please, pass this on to your nephew, pass this on to your grandkid, pass this on to your son. Just talk about it, just a little bit. It will make a difference. Sorry, that's a commitment I made to myself. I just need to do it. But getting back to this a sense of accountability, the notion is being intellectually honest with ourselves and trying to break through this poverty situation we've got in a new and creative way. Because you know what? The old answers aren't going to be all the solutions. We've got to find new ways, and I'm listening to them every day to understand that. It is such an honor and such a privilege to stand up here in front of you. I mean, this is what makes being mayor good. Scott Griggs and I were talking about it the other day. Wednesdays are just a kick in the butt, you know, in those city council meetings. Tuesday for you guys, okay? But I'll tell you, when you get out, folks, and you talk about the future of this city, you know that this place is going to power through some of those issues. Thank you very much. Is this a press conference?
I know, yes.
Exactly.
It's okay with you? Good to see you, by the way.
Good to see you.
When you were campaigning, you told me that a great school depends on a great school system.
Yes.
I mean, a great city depends on a great school system.
Yes, sir.
However, I'd like you to ask you what is specifically your position regarding homeschool during a meeting.
I mean, home rule.
I mean, home rule school.
Yes.
Excuse me. During the meeting with some community leaders, some of them are in presence. You basically walk away from a meeting where you were being asked tough questions. Not allegedly, because I wasn't there.
Yeah.
So can you tell us specifically, what is your position regarding home rule?
Yeah, I'll be glad to. I've done it before. I walked away not because I was being asked questions, but because I was being interrupted. And we've talked to people. I've apologized for people that I hurt their feelings on it. But home rule, let me just step back here, is a fundamental belief that if we're going to get from here to there, we have to examine every part of our solutions for the kids, okay? We can't say, oh, we've got to fix this one, but we can't touch that one. That's just an intellectual belief that I have. That empowers us to be able to do it. I'm just reading a biography of Washington and understanding what the United States went through when they redid their Constitution. I don't believe we're optimal, and so I supported this movement. Now I'm trusting our committee, our 15-person committee, to examine all these things, and I'm really looking forward to their work, and we'll see what comes out. And that's what makes a democracy. We should be open to listening to different points of view if it's all about the kids. That's all I care about. Let's focus on those kids in the next 15 to 20 years. Thank you.
Go there. Oh, let's start here.
Now that you mentioned about, we want smart kids,
Uh-huh.
and got my experience with my daughter, trying to get her like to a magnet school.
Yeah. The magnet school?
Yeah, trying to get her to a magnet school, and there's such a lot of kids that are really smart, but that's not enough magnet schools.
I agree with
but
you.
they can get in. Like I have like almost all my kids were going to magnet school, but see, a lot of kids are left out, and it's not because they're not smart. I mean, a lot of kids are really smart, but they're not cool.
Yeah.
To show their talent, and then what happens? Their parents they're discouraged, and then the next day they don't make it because of 7th grade there's no space for the kids, and I mean, is there something that can be done?
Yeah.
They're
So
discouraged.
basically he said, we need more magnet schools, we need more places that these kids can go and the like. So 2 thoughts on that. First of all, I agree 100%. I mean, as we look forward to the next 10 years, we have got to have more choice in our public schools, so we have people that it's not just right here in this neighborhood, as everybody drives quickly, and we need great schools. And we've got it, okay? Irma Rangel, lady right back there, right? Is that one of the great schools in America? Okay? I mean, one of the great ones, okay? So we've got it. We've got to create a culture change at the Board of Trustees, at the superintendent and his direct reports, that we're gonna move faster. If we don't move faster and better, we're gonna get worse. This notion that we've gotta, it's gotta be perfect before we move forward, that's not the way history works. So, first of all, culture. Second of all, we have to respect, attract, and treat our teachers in a totally different fashion than the rest of the nation. I think teachers are such an important part of this. Thank God for, I saw some teachers here in this room. Thank you for what you do. Someday I want, when teachers walk off planes, I want us to all stand there and applaud those teachers, like we do our military people. And we've got to be able to, and that has something to do with our college system. We've got to get better and better teachers faster and faster to be able to have those choices. So that's the 2 things. And I'm talking to our trustees. I'm talking to Superintendent Miles about that very issue every day. Sir, not every day. Excuse me. Every time I talk to him.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Tony Rios. I had a couple of questions. In order to have a great city, and I think you're doing a very good job at that. Dallas is a fabulous city, but you have to have great neighborhoods as well.
Yes, sir.
And I'm concerned about a couple of things. We have to preserve those existing neighborhoods and invest in those existing neighborhoods. One of the issues that we have is code enforcement concerns with that, as well as the police department. Now, this has been very, very good, but I'm disturbed about the morale issue with the Dallas Police Department, and what's your opinion on what you can do with that?
So, first of all, agree 100% on the code thing. I think you saw in the paper this morning, our city manager stepped up and said we can't have code doing it the way it's been done before. Second, the insight that you've had on neighborhoods is key to this city. They are the the atoms and the molecules of this city, and we've got to have everyone strong. You've got to plan differently for different neighborhoods. Problem is at City Hall and any big institution, sort of the magnet school that you've done, one size fits all. We've got to get into customization now. I mean, we all have customization in parts of our lives. We've got to do it as a city and neighborhood plan, okay? I am so proud of our police department. They have done a marvelous job in the last 10 years. Crime is at an all-time low, and the perception of safety is an all-time high, all right? And that's why I supported one of the biggest raises for our police department in there is, okay? And I'm loving that, all right? I am curious, and I've run a lot of companies on morale opinion polls, okay? I have never seen one in any organization where morale is high. It just, that's your job, is to kind of bitch when the thing comes, okay? I'm sorry. And I appreciate that. And so I've got a lot of conversation with our police association, and I'm working closely with them. But we've got to take that in context of a bigger picture. And whatever the issues are, we need to get to the bottom of it. Hey, Hector.
Mr. Mayor, thank you for being here, and I really greatly admire a lot of the issues that you champion over the years. I think we probably depart sometimes on the school issue, but
Yes, sir.
one other issue that's been with us in the 40 years that I've been here, and that's the whole aspect of the use of deadly force in this community. And I want to thank you publicly for apologizing for what was done to Santo Rodriguez and his family. I think it was long in coming, so congratulations. Community that use of deadly force on people, and there's got to be a better way to deal with people that may be mentally unbalanced or need to be somewhere in an institution where you thrust this burden or responsibility on our officers to have to go where there's somebody that's not all there and is going to refuse to be arrested or incarcerated. And I think that part of it is training, but I think there's more to that. I think as a community, we need to address this issue, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Hector, and by the way, I will disagree with you anytime in the schools because you love these kids and you love our schools, okay? And that's why you and I can have conversations like this, so I'm with you 100%. Look, it is very frustrating when I pick up the morning paper or listen to the news that we have had a use of deadly force and someone is dead. We have not done our job when that happens, okay? I am and there's a very quick line where you start to slide very quickly, as we just saw in New York, what happened in that situation. That being said, Chief Brown, I think, has stepped up and made the tough calls when this stuff has happened. The bizarre things will happen, and we've got to train better constantly. Training. But it's more of a question of culture and what's happened when when the bad situations happen. And so I'm backing Chief Brown, and maybe that's one of the issues in the morale issue, okay, when you kind of check it out. And I understand that some people say we can do whatever we want, and some people say, no, you can't, and that's part of our society.